Textual Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
So, that Adams Rite client I think is a great topic because I've only recently become somewhat clearer about unusual door thicknesses. So if we look at a 4430 Adams Rite lock, and I'm going to pull up a parts drawing. Now what you're going to find, well, let's look at the parts first. So a 4430 is a lock that specifically does not have a key on the outside. The exterior escutcheon we're looking at here has a key cylinder, and that's a 4431. So if there's no key on the outside, it's a 4430 when it comes to determining an entire part number. Hold on. It starts with 4430 when it comes to a part number that would be an entire lock, and an entire lock would be the exterior, the interior, the lock body, and all the fasteners. These two fasteners and these fasteners. Now what I find is customers will very often have unusual thickness of doors. And the reason I say that is because if we look at when you order an entire lock, well, the entire lock's not here, but when you order the interior escutcheon, there are only three door thickness ranges here. So there's not one here for 3-inch, and that's okay, because what happens is, and would you give me the subject line of that email from yesterday if you have it? Because I want to pull those. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so the bottom line is it's actually ultra simple, but it's not obvious, or at least it never was to me. But customers continue to ask for it, and actually a really lovely lady came in last week and bought some of this stuff, and she's got a same situation, and she I believe is a retired doctor or some discipline that required substantial education beyond a bachelor's degree, and she was incredibly elegant and poised and well spoken. Well, she lives down here, and she took her lock apart, and she was able to decipher exactly what she had and exactly what she needed, and a lot of what got her there was her intelligence, but also watching the videos. So the three door thickness ranges, what that relates to is the length of these tail pieces that are here, this one here and this one here on the interior escutcheon. Bottom line is, the thicker the door, the longer these have to be. Okay, if you have a cylinder with this tail piece here, you have to have the pin down here. But if you have an exterior escutcheon that does not feature a key, you don't have to have that pin. You only need the tail piece, because as you slide the knob up and down, that's what forces the hook to go back and out, in and out, in and out, the way that this pivots and slides at the same time. Now, the tip-off here, so you look at this and you say, yeah, that's a thick door. Yep, no doubt. But when you look at the rest of the images, that doesn't help us at all.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
This is the money right here. So what we're seeing is proof that there's no cylinder on the outside, because if there was, it'd be here. That's tip one. Tip two is these are not standard fasteners that are here. So that's the second tip, because in addition, these fasteners that are here, you will not find them long enough. I don't recall what the length of these are, but you won't find the fasteners long enough for a 3-inch thick door. If you were to contact Adams Rite and you were to tell them, I've got a 3-inch thick door, what they're going to tell you is you have to get your own fasteners. And that's exactly what the client did here, or someone did. So that is kind of where we're ending up. But where we really need to begin is the thickness is this. What's the distance from here, from the face of the door, to the center line? And if you double that, you can have an imaginary door thickness. So the interior escutcheon goes on. That's got the goofy tailpiece on it, seen here. That goofy tailpiece. That is quite near the top of the escutcheon. Right near the top of the plate. That's going right in here, right in here. If we had X-ray vision, we could see it, because that's connecting to here. So that's going right here. As long as the face of the door to the center line times 2 is within the range of what you're dealing with here for door thickness, you're gold. The only thing you got to tell the client is, we can either go out and get you longer 632 flathead screws, because we can get 632 flathead screws, longer ones, from an industrial hardware supply, because those screws go through this molded plastic into the molded plastic, and they just thread cut as they go in. Now what this client obviously did was, if we could see, yeah, that's what they did, Cory. They drilled a hole right through the damn thing. They drilled a hole here, through the exterior escutcheon, and then put a nut out there. Now they may have done that because the thread, the molded plastic may have cracked. I see that often. So, but in a new installation where the Henderson company contacts Adam Rite and say, I need 5,000 a week for the next 12 weeks, and then I need 7,000 a week, that kind of business. And they're getting all of these parts arranged, so when they're building these doors, they've got all the parts. So these people, these folks, especially down here with their lanais and their sliding whatnots, their patios, the door manufacturer basically figured out, oh, if we want 3-inch thick, okay, well, we're going to use a 4430. Let me double down on what I'm doing with you here. We're going to use a 4430. Adams Rite. We're going to pull up the catalog. By the way, 1977 product catalog. I'll open that just to see if it works. Huh, I have to check and see. So 4430. And what we're going to do is get to the how to order. So what these folks probably ordered originally was 4430 dash, we can come up with the original part number, dash 09, because it has a radiused edge, or it could be 09S if it's made of stainless, and it probably is. Dash 00 is probably what it is. And then you don't really need an 01 because a 4430 is without a cylinder, but it would be 4430 09 or 09S dash 00 or 05, but probably 00 dash 00 dash IB, and all IB means is individually boxed. That door manufacturer could have gone to them and said, okay, you know what, we want a bulk box of, we want a bulk pack of 50, so they would drop that off, that IB. because when you look at these locks on the shelf, they're just individual rectangular long white boxes. So whenever you encounter this and you have a door thickness that doesn't fit, just say to yourself, first of all, that lock is not centered in the door, because if it was, you'd have a problem. Even though it would probably work, because you could have gone with that door thickness range. You could have centered this lock in the door, and you would have had the length of parts necessary. These parts would have been long enough. So they could have done that. They obviously didn't, because there's a sliding screen or something, or this is mating to the other door. Yeah, these two doors close together and they probably interlock. There's weather stripping here. So this door's closing into that with its U-shape here, and that seal is really nice. That's, it's literally interlocked there. So give you a good seal to the exterior. And after that, it's all good. Now, the other thing that you can do is with your client say, okay, I can get you all the parts. I can even get you the long screws. Or if you want to take a ride to Ace Hardware, do that. And what you tell them is, measure for me the length of this. And then you call over here and you say, Anna, Ellis, Barb, whoever the flavor of the month is, whoever's on deck is what I should have said. Whoever's on deck, hey, grab one and measure this for me. And then you'll know. Now, the only time, again, you need this pin is when you have a key cylinder. Now, that's where the trouble comes in with door thickness ranges that exceed what the manufacturer offers, because you're not going to get a pin long enough for a 3-inch thick door, because this has to be on the outside. The lock body can be biased. It can be biased on one side or the other, or in the center. But that cylinder, you can only put it out here. You don't have a choice. So that pin would have to be really long, and that pin is really frail. I've seen them broken many times. I've seen them broken in the box when they arrive from the factory. So, yeah, so that's how you do this. And that's all there is to it. And I've done it where customers said, no, I'll take a ride. I'll get some long drywall screws, is what they said. And a coarse thread drywall screw is a really good choice. A coarse thread, not fine, not high-low, a coarse, where the threads are spaced out. Normal drywall screws are coarse, but you can also get fine thread drywall screws. We just talked about thread count. You would use a fine thread if you were going to be going into metal studs. So you want to have tighter threads to go into metal studs. Coarse threads, wider spaced, you want that for wood studs. High-low is used when you want additional pull strength out of it, because there's alternating low and high threads that stagger. There's a high thread and a low thread, high thread and a low thread down the entire body. So high-lows are uncommon, but it is definitely a type of drywall screw. So a couple of... Yeah. You'd enjoy talking to my dad, because he waited on the counter for 40 years. So he's a guy that wouldn't be able to figure this stuff out. But if a customer walked in and he had a shopping list of 12 things, my dad really knew stuff like that. Anyway, so in this instance, that's just how you solve that. That lock body is probably not going to be centered, and if it's a weird thickness, I've never seen one, to my recollection, that has a cylinder on the outside. So for your client... Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you're not going to involve yourself in getting screws, you could just as easily tell the client, well, if you don't want to take it off and measure that, why don't I just send you the longest one possible? Because does it matter if it goes through and stops here, or does it matter if it goes through and stops here? It probably doesn't. And you can tell the client, even if it does, cut it down to length. Meaning, if the client cannot or will not or does not want to measure it, you could say, well, let's just play it safe, understanding that the price that you'll pay for playing it safe is you'll possibly have to do more work when it shows up, but probably not. Because that aluminum is that style is just aluminum, hollow back here. So You know, as long as the tail piece is not so long that it goes through the door, it doesn't matter. But I thought this topic was important because I deal with this like every week. Nope. Nope. Well, what this knowledge will allow you to do is to get a call from someone in California or very much in Florida or very much in Hawaii and say, I'm doing mine and I want another 18 because all my neighbors want me to do it to theirs too. That's a real order, you know, whether it be up on Captiva or Sanibel Island or down on Marco Island here or out in Hawaii. I mean, we've shipped dozens at a time to people out there because it's really easy stuff to replace, really easy. And the stuff does fatigue and fail. It's plastic. There's also the metal version that they have, or the they're die cast plates, but it's the same logic, the same concept. So if it's black or white, and your customer can ensure you that they're plastic, it's one of these two. Well, it's one of these three actually. There's three models here. So you can see these in white. If the cylinder is down below, it's definitely going to be molded plastic. If the cylinder is up top and it's a sprayed finish, black, aluminum, or dark bronze, it's going to be the zinc, the die cast zinc escutcheons. But all the logic still applies. The problem that I have based on the manufacturer's literature is it's not clear when it is not clear at all on the interior escutcheon when you need that pin and when you don't, because they make them both ways. And if you have a 4430, meaning no cylinder, then you don't need the pin. But if you have a 4431, you better make sure the inside escutcheon has the pin down here. They'll always have the tailpiece. And the problem with, they're giving us part number 2, but the problem with part number 2 is they only have 3 options, but there are 2 primary lock types. There's without cylinder and with, but they don't tell you down here what these part numbers are for. And it turns out these part numbers are for the ones without a cylinder on the outside. So and there's another document, there's a parts drawing that's published that shows those, but now or maybe these are with the pin, I don't really remember. But the fact of the matter is, if there's a key cylinder, you got to make sure there's 2 doohickeys hanging off the back of it, because I bumped into that. Adam's Rite, they're really great people, they really are, but unfortunately the error rate is higher with Adam's Rite for some reason. But their tech support, they're always really helpful. 100% of the time they respond. Yep. Yep. This is where I get to say, Hank! You're looking at it, Hank. That's the dummy right there. This is just a dummy set. So on the inside of here, there's not going to be a slide button. There's just going to be something that's a dummy. And we can't see it. We can't see what they've got here. It's too dark. But, oh, well, here, forgive me. I think, yeah, this is going to be it. There's just a molded piece of plastic there. It's the dummy. Now, what they should have done is probably not prep anything here. If that door is fixed, and it may be fixed, but no matter what, when you have an active door, and I know that this is the active because that's the strike plate. So that lock body, that hook, is up here. Well, if this door slides too, which I believe it does because of the way that you've got furniture inside of here, this probably all slides open. Yeah, you need to have a pull handle there, and you need to have dummy trim on there as well. And that's just the bottom line. That's literally what that 4429 is for. I think that's the part number for it. Yeah, pretty sure it is. No, 4432. Yeah, 4432. So a 4432 is not, well, you'd probably call it 4432-00, then your door thickness -00. So, I don't know if it has to be 00, but they'll get the point. Without, well, yeah, no, you have to have 00. Well, I mean, it's a dummy, so it's without lock, and when they say lock, they mean the lock body, that thing right there, that we see right here. That's the lock body. You can buy those separately. You can buy the interior, the exterior separately, all that stuff. These pull handles, this one is not an Adams Rite pull that's currently available. It may have been when this was built, but there are pull handles that Adams Rite has. This actually may be one. ABS. Yep, I believe you're right. And I think I have 2 of them here. Yep, right there. 4453. There's another one that's molded plastic, but this is probably the one that the client has. In fact, it kind of looks like it. Yeah. So if both of the client's doors slide, then yeah, you would want to pull on both doors. The issue is, oh, well, the client doesn't have one. Or, well, hard to say. You could offer to sell your client a pull handle. Only in the sense of, hey, if both of your doors are active, do you want to add another pull handle? Because that might be more convenient. Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah. And when you do this quote for the client, you can, add it on there and just say, this is only here. You're replacing the rest. I thought you might want to see an option for replacing the pull handles. Don't replace them if there's nothing wrong with them, but nonetheless, if it comes to pass, because in condo work, oh, you can see it right here. This is all cracked. Yeah. This customer's going to need more than just whatever he was originally asking for. Yeah. So 4432 whole thing, 4430 whole thing. Oh yeah, it's cracked down here too. Yeah, it's beat up. That's from drilling holes through it for sure, and then tightening the bolts down. That may be fatigue. Yeah, and for sure here. So you'll want to tell the client when you redo this, don't drill through it. Just go get long, coarse drywall screws, or we'll get the screws for the client. It's all good. It's not going to be cheap because I've got to bring them in. The freight alone will be worth more than the screws, but you can give a turnkey package. Awesome. Let's continue next week with either something hot or just back to the SDI stuff. Or maybe both. Thank you, sir. See ya. Bye.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.